The Rigveda, hymn 9.54, Soma Pavamana, 4 verses. After his ancient splendor, they the bold have drawn the bright milk from the sage who wins 1,000 gifts. In aspect he is like the sun. He runneth forward to the lakes, 7 currents flowing through the sky. He, shining in his splendor, stands high over all things that exist. Soma, a god as Surya is, thou, Indu, in thy brilliancy, pourest on us, as Indra's friend, wealth from the kine to feast the gods. And when the pious have wealth, or some other luxury, it is to the pleasure of the unseen beings. Hymn 9.55, Soma Pavamana, 4 verses. Pour on us with thy juice all kinds of kernels, each sort of nourishment, and Soma all felicities, as thine, O Indu, is the praise, and thine what springeth from the juice. Seat thee on the dear sacred grass, and finding for us kine and steeds, O Soma, with thy juice flow on, through days that fly most rapidly, as one who conquers, ne'er subdued, attacks and stays the enemy. Thus, vanquisher of thousands, flow. And whether for eating or otherwise, dedicate your use of plants. Hymn 9.56, Soma Pavamana, 4 verses. Swift to the purifying sieve flows Soma as exalted law, slaying the fiends, loving the gods. When Soma pours the strengthening food, 100 ever-active streams to Indra's friendship win their way. 10 dames have sung to welcome thee, even as a maiden greets her love. O Soma, thou art decked to win. Flow hitherward, O Indu, sweet to Indra, and to Vishnu guard the men, the singers, from distress. And one of the things that we do in seeking experience is to prevent other experiences. Hymn 9.57, Soma Pavamana, 4 verses. Thy streams that never fail or waste flow forth like showers of rain from heaven. To bring 1,000 stores of strength he flows, beholding on his way all well-beloved sacred lore, green-tinted, brandishing his arms. He, when the people deck him like a docile king of elephants, sits as a falcon in the wood. So bring thou hitherward to us, Indu, while thou art purified, all treasures both of heaven and earth. And let's not limit our idea of supplication. Hymn 9.58, Soma Pavamana, 4 verses. Swift runs this giver of delight, even the stream of flowing juice. Swift runs this giver of delight. The morning knows all precious things. The goddess knows her grace to man. Swift runs this giver of delight. We have accepted thousands from Vasra's and Purushanta's hands. Swift runs this giver of delight, from whom we have accepted thus thousands and 3 times 10 beside. Swift runs this giver of delight. And we hear this mention of goddesses and gods like these things are gendered, but it goes beyond that. Hymn 959, Soma Pavamana, 4 verses. Flow onward, Soma, winning kine and steeds and all that gives delight. Bring hither wealth with progeny, flow onward from the waters, flow inviolable from the plants, flow onward from the pressing boards. Soma as Pavamana, pass over all the trouble and distress. Sit on the sacred grass, a sage. Thou, Pavamana, foundest light. Thou at thy birth becamest great. O Indu, thou art over all. And hierarchy does exist, but it's to point us towards the truly worship-worthy. Hymn 960, Soma Pavamana, 4 verses. Sing forth and laud with sacred song, most active Pavamana, laud Indu, who sees with 1,000 eyes. Thee, who hast 1,000 eyes to see, bearer of 1,000 burthens, they have filtered through the fleecy cloth. He, Pavamana, hath streamed through the fleece, then he runs into the jars, finding his way to Indra's heart, that Indra may be bounteous. Flow most active Soma for our weal, bring genial seed with progeny. And let us, when we produce things, know how much we're producing and realize, okay, we need this much now, or this is the typical use, and save some for later, or save some for others. Hymn 961, Soma Pavamana, 30 verses. Flow onward Indu with this food for him who in thy wild delight battered the 99 down, smote swiftly forts in Sambara, then Yadu, and then Turvasa. For pious Devadasa's sake, finder of horses, pour on us horses, wealth in kine and gold, in Indu food in boundless store. We seek to win thy friendly love, even as Pavamana's in boundless store. We seek to win thy friendly love, even Pavamana's flowing over the limit of the cleansing sieve, with those same waves which in their stream overflow the purifying sieve. Soma, be gracious unto us. O Soma, being purified, bring us from all sides, for thou canst riches and food with hero sons, him here the child whom streams have borne. The 10 swift fingers beautify, with the Adityas is he seen, with Indra and with Vayu he effused flows onward with the beams of Surya to the cleansing sea, flow rich and sweet and lovely for our Banga, Vayu, Pushan flow, for Mitra and for Varuna high is thy juice's birth. Though set in heaven, on earth it hath attained strong sheltering power and great renown. Striving to win with him we gain all wealth from the ungodly man, yea, all the glories of mankind, finder of room and freedom, flow for Indra, whom we must adore, for Varuna and the Marut host. The gods have come to Indu well descended, beautified with milk, the active crusher of the foe, even as the mother cows their calf, so let our praise song strengthen him, yea, him who winneth Indra's heart. Soma, pour blessings on our kind, pour forth the food that streams with milk, increase the seed that merits laud. From heaven hath Pavamana made, as 'twere the marvellous thunder, and the lofty light of all mankind, the gladdening and auspicious juice of thee, a Pavamana king, flows o'er the woolen straining cloth. Thy juice, Pavamana, sends its rays abroad, like splendid skill, like lustre, all heaven's light to see, flow honored with that juice of thine most excellent, that brings delight, slaying the wicked dear to gods, killing the foeman and his hate, and winning booty every day. Ganger art thou of steeds and kine, red-hued be blended with the milk, that seems to yield its lovely breast. Falcon, like resting in thine home, flow onward, thou, who strengthenest Indra to slaughter Vritra, who compass and stayed the mighty floods. Soma, who rainest gifts, may we win riches with our hero sons. Strengthen as thou art cleansed our hymns, aided by thee and through thy grace, may we be slayers when we war. Watch, Soma, at our solemn rites, chasing our foemen, driving off the godless. Soma floweth on, going to Indra's special place. O Pavamana, hither, bring great riches and destroy our foes. O Indu, grant heroic fame. 100 obstacles have never checked thee when fain to give thy boons, when being cleansed thou combatest. Indu, flow on, a mighty juice, glorify us among the folk. Drive all our enemies away. Indu, in this thy friendship most lofty and glorious may we subdue all those who war with us, those awful weapons that thou hast sharpened at a point to strike men down. Guard us therewith from every foe. And the red, the milk, well, both Russian emetics and fly agarics are red-capped mushrooms, or well, fly agarics sometimes are different colors, but like I've shown you yellow ones on my channel. But mixing them with milk helps prevent people from getting sick. But of course, Russian emetics yeah, particularly stay away from those. I mean, people know what to do with each, but I wouldn't recommend just the intoxicating thing. But you notice the tie to the emotions there, so you don't have to use the drug. You can understand the emotional reference. Hymn 962, Soma Pabamana, 30 verses. These rapid Soma drops have been poured through the purifying sieve to bring us all felicities, dispelling manifold mishap, giving the courser's progeny, yea, and the warrior's steed success, bringing prosperity to kine. They make perpetual love flow. To us, for noble eulogy, strong mountain born, the stalk hath been pressed in the streams for rapturous joy. Hawk-like he settles in his home. Fair is the god-loved juice. The plant is washed in waters, pressed by men. The milch kine sweeten it with milk. As drivers deck a courser, so have they adorned the meat's juice for ambrosia for the festival. Thou endue with thy streams that drop sweet juices, which were poured for help, hath settled in the cleansing sieve, so flow thou onward, through the fleece, for Indra flow, to be his drink, finding thine home in vats of wood, as giving room and freedom as most sweet. Pour butter forth and milk. O Indu, for the Angarasas, most active and benevolent, is Pavamana sent to us, for lofty friendship meditates, queller of curses, mighty with strong sway. This Pavamana shall bring treasures to the worshipper. Pour thou upon us thousandfold possessions, both of kine and steeds, exceeding glorious, much desired. Wandering far with wise designs, the juice here presented is effused, made beautiful by living men, for Indra flows the gladdening drink, the measure of the region, sage, with countless wealth and endless help, born on the mountain, lauded here. Indu for Indra is set down, as in her sheltering nest a bird, pressed by the men as 'twere to war, hath Soma Pavamana sped, to test with might within the vats, that he may move the yoke him to the three-backed, triple-seated car. By the 7 rushes, holy songs, drive ye that tawny courser, O ye pressers, on his way to war. Swift steed who carries off the spoil, pouring all glories hither, he effused in entering the jar, stands like a hero mid the kine. Indu, the living men, milk out the juice to make the rapturous draught. Gods for the gods, milk out the meat. Pour for the gods into the sieve our Soma, very rich in sweets. Him whom the gods must gladly hear, into his stream who gladdens best, these Soma juices have been poured. Lauded with songs for lofty fame, thou flowest to enjoy the milk, and bringest valor, being cleansed, winning the spoil, flow hitherward, and hymned by Jamad Agnes, let all nourishment that kind supply, and generous praises flow to us. Soma, as leader of the song, flow onward with thy wondrous aids. For holy lore of every kind, do thou as leader of the song, stirring the waters of the sea, flow onward, thou who movest all. O Soma, O thou sage, these worlds stand ready to attest thy might, for thy behoofs the rivers flow. Like showers of rain that fall from heaven, thy streams perpetually flow to the bright fleece spread under them, for potent Indra purify Indu, effectual and strong, enjoyment giver, mighty lord. Soma, true, Pavamana, sage, is seated in the cleansing sieve, giving his praiser hero strength. And so we notice there's pressing and rinsing and all that sort of stuff that helps deal with the poisons are involved in some of these things. And in general, we want to minimize or do away with curses and call in the blessings. Hymn 963, Soma Pavamana, 30 verses. Pour hitherward, O Soma, wealth in thousands and heroic strength, and keep renown secure for us. Thou makest food and vigor swell for Indra, best of gladdeners. Within the cups thou seatest thee, for Indra and for Vishnu poured. Soma hath flowed into the jar, may Vayu find it rich in sweets. These Somas, swift and brown of hue, in streams of solemn sacrifice, have flowed through twisted obstacles, performing every noble work, active, augmenting Indra's strength, driving away the godless ones, Brown Soma drops, effused, that seek Indra to their appropriate place, flow through the region hitherward, flow onward with the stream of thine that wherewith thou gavest Surya light, urging on waters good to men. He Papamana, high o'er man, yoked the sun's courser Atasa to travel through the realm of air, and those 10 coursers tawny-hued he harnessed that the sun might come. Indu, he is said, is Indra's self. Hence singers pour the gladdening juice to Vayu, and to Indra pour the drops upon the fleecy cloth. O Soma Pavamana, find wealth for us, not to be assailed, wealth which the foeman may not win. Send riches hither with thy stream in thousands, both of steeds and kine. Send spoils of war in high renown. Soma the god, expressed with stones, like Surya, floweth on his way, pouring the juice within the jar. These brilliant drops have poured for us in streams of solemn sacrifice, worshipful laws, and strength in kine. Over the cleansing sieve have flowed the somas, blent with curdled milk, effused for Indra, thunder-armed. Soma, do thou, most rich in sweets, a gladdening drink most dear to gods, flow to the sieve to bring us wealth. For Indra, living men, adore the tawny courser in the streams. Indu, the giver of delight, pour for us, Soma, wealth and gold, in horses and heroic sons. Bring hither strength in herds of kine. For Indra pour ye on the fleece, him very sweet to taste who longs for battle as were in more. The singers, seeking help, adorn the sage, who must be decked with songs. Loud bellowing, the steer comes on. The singers with their thoughts and hymns have, in the stream of sacrifice, caused Soma, active steer to roar. God working with mankind flow on. To Indra go, thy gladdening juice, to Vayu mount as law commands. O Soma Pavamana, thou pourest out wealth that brings renown. Enter the lake as one we love. Soma thou flowest, chasing foes and bringing wisdom and delight. Drive off the folk who love not gods. The Pavamanas have been poured, the brilliant drops of Soma juice. For holy lore of every kind, the Pavamanas have been shed. The beautiful swift Soma drops, driving all enemies afar. From heaven, from out the firmament, hath Pavamana been effused upon the summit of the earth. O Soma Indra, very wise, drive being purified with thy stream all foes, all Rakshasas away, driving the Rakshasas afar. O Soma, bellowing, pour for us most excellent and splendid strength. Soma, do thou secure for us the treasures of the earth and heaven. Indu, all boons to be desired. Now, if we think of Soma as consciousness, we are combining consciousness with the actions which connect to the light beings and which serve the god of heaven. And if Agni is here, Agni is the will. The hymn 9.64, Soma Pavamana, 30 verses. Soma, thou art a splendid steer, O God, with steer-like sway. Thou as a steer ordainest laws, steer strong, thy might is as a steer's. Steer strong thy wood, steer like thy drink, a steer indeed, O steer art thou. Thou Indu, as a vigorous horse, hast neighed together steeds and kine. Unbar for us the doors to wealth, out of desire of cows and steeds and horses. Potent Soma drops, brilliant and swift, have been effused. They purified in both the hands, made beautiful by holy men. Flow onward to the fleecy cloth. These Soma juices shall pour forth all treasures for the worshipper. From heaven and earth and firmament, the streams of Pavamana, thine, finder of all, have been effused, even as Surya's rays of light. Making the light that shines from heaven, thou flowest on to every form. Soma, thou swellest like a sea, urged on thou sendest out thy voice. O Pavamana, thou hast moved, like the god Surya to the sieve. Indu, enlightener, friend, hath been purified by the sage's hymns. So starts the charioteer his steed, like God delighting wave, which hath flowed to purifying sieve. Alighting in the home of law, flow to our sieve a gladdening draught that hath most intercourse with gods. Indu to Indra for his drink, flow onward with the stream for food, made beautiful by sapient men. Indu with sheen approach the milk, while thou art cleansed. Song lover, bring comfort and vigor to the folk. Pour tawny one of milk and curds, purified for the feast of gods. Go thou to Indra's sacred place, resplendent, guided by the strong. Accelerated by him, the rapid drops of soma juice have flowed urged onward to the lake. Easily have the living drops made beautiful approach the lake. Yea, to the place of sacrifice, compass about our faithful friend all our possessions with thy might. Guard hero-like our sheltering home. Loud neighs the courser Atassa, with singers harnessed for the place. Guided for travel to the lake, what time the swift one resteth in the golden place of sacrifice, he leaves the foolish far away. The friends have sung in unison. The prudent wish to sacrifice, down sink the unintelligent. For Indra, girt by Marutas, flow thou Indu, very rich in sweets. To set in place a sacrifice, controlling priests and sages skilled in holy song, adorn thee well. The living make thee beautiful. Aryaman, Mitra, Vruna, drink Pavamana's juice. Yea, thine, O sage, the Marutas drink thereof. O Soma, Indu, thou, while thou art purified, urgest onward speech, thousandfold with the lore of hymns. Yea, Soma, Indu, while thou art purified, do thou bring to us speech, thousandfold that longs for war. O Indu, much invoked, while thou art purifying, as the friend of these men, enter thou the lake. Bright are these somas, blent with milk, with light that flashes brilliantly, and form that utters loud acclaim. Led by his drivers and sent forth, the strong steed hath come nigh for spoil, like warriors when they stand arrayed. Specially, Soma, coming as a sage from heaven to prosper us, flow like the sun for us to see. And back to the hierarchy thing, we have, greater and greater degrees of holiness, of standing apart. The Marutas, the Devas, Indra. Hymn 9.65, Soma Pavamana, 30 verses. The glittering maids send Sura forth, the glorious sisters close allied, send Indu forth, their mighty lord, pervade Pavamana, all our treasures with repeated light. God coming hither from the gods, pour on us Pavamana rain, as service and rain, praise for the gods, pour all to be our nourishment. Thou art austere by luster. We, O Pavamana, faithfully call upon thee, the splendid one. Do thou rejoicing nobly arm, pour upon us heroic strength. O Indu, come thou hitherward. When thou art cleansed with both the hands, and dipped in waters with the wood, thou comest to the gathering place. Sing forth your songs, as Vyasva sang, to Soma Pavamana too, the mighty one with 1,000 eyes, whose colored sap they drive with stones, the yellow death-dealing juice. Indu for Indra, for his drink, we seek to gain the friendly love of thee, that strong and mighty one, of thee, the winner of all wealth. Flow onward with thy stream, austere, inspiriting the Marutas lord, winning all riches by thy might. I send thee forth to battle from the press, O Pavamana strong, sustainer, looker on the light, acknowledged by this song of mine. Flow tawny colored with thy stream, in sight to battle, thine ally. O Indu, visible to all, pour out for us abundant food. Soma, be thou our prosperer. The pitchers, Indu, with thy streams, have sung aloud in a vigorous might. Enter them and let Indra drink. O thou whose potent gladdening juice they milk out with the stones, flow on. Destroyer of our enemies, King Pavamana, is implored with holy songs on man's behalf. To travel through the firmament, bring us, O Indu, hundredfold increase of kine and noble steeds, the gift of fortune for our help. Pressed for the banquet of the gods, O Soma, bring us might and speed, like beauty for a brilliant show. Soma, flow on, exceeding bright, with loud roar, to the wooden vats, falcon-like, resting in thine home. Soma, the water winner, flows to Indra, Vayu, Varuna, to Vishnu, and the Marut host. Soma, bestowing food upon her progeny from every sides. Pour on us riches, thousandfold, the Soma juices, which have been expressed afar or near at hand, are there on Saryannavat's bank. Those pressed among Arjikas, pressed among the active in men's homes, are pressed among the races 5. May these celestial drops expressed pour forth upon us as they flow, rain from the heavens, and hero strength. Urged forward o'er the ox-hide flows the lovely one of tawny hue, lauded by Jmadagni's song. Like horses urged to speed, the drops, bright, stirring vital power, when blent with milk, are beautified in streams. So they who toil with juices send thee forward for the gods' repast. So with the splendor flow thou on. We choose today that chariot steed of thine, the strong that brings us bliss, the guardian, the desire of all, the excellent, the gladdener, the sage, with heart that understands, the guardian, the desire of all, who for ourselves, O thou most wise, is wealth and fair intelligence, the guardian, the desire of all. And I forget what Jamad means. And of course, when we say God, we mean light beings. Well, I'm not sure if that's the singular, but when we're saying gods, we're typically talking about the light beings or the unfallen angels, the Malaika, the Ahuras, whatever you want to call the devas. But it's important for us to realize that that wealth and blessing are not the same. Not all excess or not all bestowal is for our help, or maybe it is for our help, but whether we choose for it to be such or not.